A movie called The White Helmets won the Academy Award for Best Documentary Short Subject. On the movie poster, we see the words, "To save a life is to save all of humanity." That sounds nice, but what does it mean? If someone's about to get hit by a car and I save him, how have I saved all of humanity? All of humanity wasn't about to die. So, what sense does it make to say that if you save a life, you're saving all of humanity? Well, when we understand the source of the quotation, it actually makes perfect sense. The problem is that if you start asking people where that quotation comes from, many of them will say that it comes from the Quran. And that's what we hear in the acceptance speech. Director Orlando von Einsiedel reads a message from White Helmet's founder Raed al-Salah, and millions of viewers get the following introduction to the Quran.
We're so grateful that this film has highlighted our work to the world. Our organisation is guided by a verse from the Quran. To save one life is to save all of humanity. We have saved more than 82,000 Syrian lives.
I have mixed feelings about responding here. On the one hand, the actual group of rescue workers called the White Helmets are heroes. When bombs start dropping in Syria, most people run away from the bombs. The White Helmets run towards the bombs to try to rescue as many people as possible. The short documentary, The White Helmets, follows three of these guys around as they try to save people. So part of me says, look, these guys are saving lives. If they think the Quran is against violence, let them think that. Who cares, as long as they're pulling children out of rubble and getting them to a hospital. On the other hand, the longer people continue to misrepresent what the Quran says, the longer the violence will continue, because no one's going to deal with the real source of the violence if they think that the Quran is all about saving lives. In other words, the White Helmets are dedicated to saving lives, but one of the best ways to save lives is to refute the lies about the Quran. Ironically, the filmmakers and actors at the Oscars, who are normally pretty clueless about everything that doesn't involve making films or pretending to be other people, should be some of the best informed people in the world when it comes to the quotation, "To save a life is to save all of humanity." They're the last people who should fall for, "This is what the Quran declares." Why? Because they've all seen Schindler's List, which won 7 Oscars, including Best Picture, and one of the most famous scenes in Schindler's List is where Schindler, a different kind of Oscar, is about to flee because he was a member of the Nazi Party. But all the Jews he saved give him a ring with a memorable inscription.
It's Hebrew from the Talmud. It says, whoever saves one life saves the world entire.
That's strange. The Jews think that this quotation comes from the Talmud. Maybe because it comes from the Talmud, Mishnah Sanhedrin chapter 4, where it makes perfect sense. It's a commentary on Genesis 4:10. In Genesis 4, Cain kills Abel, and God says to Cain in verse 10, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground." Jewish rabbis pointed out that the verse doesn't actually say your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. It says your brother's bloods, plural, cry out to me from the ground. The implication of the plural, bloods, is that it wasn't just Abel's blood crying out from the ground. It was the blood of all his future descendants. Abel would have had lots of children, and those children would have grown up and had children, and so on. So Cain wasn't just killing Abel, he was killing all of the future generations that would have come from Abel. And the rabbi commenting on this concludes that if you kill a man, you're killing an entire world, and that if you save a man, you're saving an entire world. The Jews of Arabia liked to quote this rabbi when they discussed the story of Cain and Abel, and not surprisingly, his words ended up in the Quran. Muslims like to point out that the Quran says, "To save a life is to save all of humanity," but they don't like to quote the actual verse because the actual verse states that this was a command for the children of Israel, the Jews. But let's read the entire passage so we can see why this verse makes absolutely no sense in the Quran. The passage begins in Surah 5, verse 27 of the Quran, a passage about Cain and Abel. And, O Muhammad, recite to them, to the Jews, the story of the two sons of Adam, Abel and Cain. In truth, when each offered a sacrifice to Allah, it was accepted from the one, but not from the other. The latter said to the former, I will surely kill you. The former said, Verily, Allah accepts only from those who are al-mutakun, the pious. If you do stretch your hand against me to kill me, I shall never stretch my hand against you to kill you. For I fear Allah, the Lord of the Alameen, the worlds of mankind, jinn, and all that exists. Verily, I intend to let you draw my sin on yourself, as well as yours. Then you will be one of the dwellers of the fire, and that is the recompense of the Zalamun, polytheists and wrongdoers. So the nafs, his ego, of the other, latter one, encouraged him and made fair seeming to him the murder of his brother. He murdered him and became one of the losers. Then Allah sent a crow who scratched the ground to show him to hide the dead body of his brother. He, the murderer, said, Woe to me! Am I not even able to be as this crow and to hide the dead body of my brother? Then he became one of those who regretted. And here we have the verse in question. Because of that, because of what? Because of something to do with the story of Cain and Abel, we ordained for the children of Israel. Notice that almost no one who quotes this verse ever reads this part, saying that it was for the children of Israel, that if anyone killed a person, not in retaliation of murder or to spread mischief in the land, it would be as if he killed all mankind. And if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the life of all mankind. And indeed, there came to them our messengers with clear proofs, evidences, and signs. Even then, after that, many of them continued to exceed the limits, e.g. by doing oppression unjustly and exceeding beyond the limits set by Allah by committing the major sins in the land. Now, how does any of that follow from the story of Cain and Abel? In the Talmud, a Jewish rabbi draws attention to a Hebrew word, the word bloods, and he makes the case that God is telling us that if you kill someone, you're actually killing far more people than you think. But that discussion is missing from the Quran. So how do you get from Cain killed Abel and a bird came along to show Cain how to hide the body to the claim that to kill a person is to kill all mankind and to save a person is to save all mankind? Makes no sense in the Quran, and this is yet another example of Muhammad plagiarizing without really understanding what he's plagiarizing. But why should that bother us when a group of Muslims is saving people because they believe that Allah wants them to save people? The Quran does say that Allah ordained for the children of Israel that if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the life of all mankind. So the same would apply to Muslims who are rescuing people who haven't hurt anyone. If a Muslim saves someone, he's saving the future descendants of that person. So what's the problem? Well, the problem here is not saving lives. It's good to save lives. The problem is why there's a constant need to save lives in the Middle East. And the reason there's a constant need to save lives in the Middle East is found in the very next verse, where Allah gives a command for Muslims. The verses that come before this are about Cain and Abel and the revelation given to the Jews. Verse 33 is a command for Muslims. Allah says, "The recompense of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and do mischief in the land is only that they shall be killed or crucified, or their hands and their feet be cut off from opposite sides, or be exiled from the land. That is their disgrace in this world, and a great torment is theirs in the hereafter." They shall be killed, or crucified, or dismembered, or exiled. For what? For waging war against Allah. How do you make war against Allah? By making mischief in the land, opposing Sharia, promoting the wrong religion, promoting the wrong sect of Islam, leaving Islam, wearing the wrong clothes, etc. The Shias are making mischief in the land. We have to kill them. No, the Sunnis are making mischief in the land. We have to kill them. No, the secularists are making mischief in the land. We have to kill them. No, the Christians are making mischief in the land. We have to kill them. ISIS jihadis are doing exactly what Surah 5, verse 33 of the Quran commands. The result of this command is an endless bloodbath, and that's why we need the white helmets to try to save as many people as possible before everyone's been slaughtered in the name of Allah. What I find amazing is that the white helmets draw their inspiration for rescuing people from Surah 5, verse 32, a command for the children of Israel, which comes right before Surah 5, verse 33, a command for Muslims to kill and crucify and dismember people. So I wish the best for the white helmets. May they continue to be fearless, and may the world support their efforts to rescue victims of the war in Syria. But their work will never be finished so long as the West, including Hollywood, continues to pretend that the message of the Quran is peace. Let's all agree to help the white helmets save lives by exposing Muhammad and the Quran.